On January 3rd, 1855, the body of a Sicilian truck farmer, Francisco Domingo, was found floating here on the banks of the Mississippi River in New Orleans. He had been stabbed multiple times and had his throat slit from ear to ear. It was clear that this was a murder. This was no accident. And whoever did this very viciously. Well, the police eventually figured out who the body was, although it had been quite deformed from being murdered and cut up and all of that, and people didn't really go around with like ID tags. And they found the widow, and the widow said that he had received a letter with a black hand on it and a bunch of dangerous looking symbols demanding money or that he would be murdered. So many consider that this is the first black hand assassination noted in the United States. This is the beginning of what would become the Black Hand and then later the Mafia. It's a great legend. Francisco Domingo was murdered, but it doesn't appear that there was any Black Hand stuff attached to it. But it is a very interesting case of creating a mythology for something like this. You have a sinister organization of the Black Hand, so it can't have mundane roots in just a group of immigrants coming into the country trying to find a way to extort the system and make money. No. It's got to have some sort of deep, dark tale of a body discovered and all of that. Now, I'm going to do a series about the Black Hand and how it started here in New Orleans, right here on these docks, this area, and then traveled to Tampa and to New York, and then from there to the other cities across America and turned into what we would consider the Mafia today. I thought I would start here because this is where the legend begins. But we're going to actually go back before 1855 because there were people here before that already doing stuff. So join me. Let's adventure. There are a lot of ghost tours in New Orleans, and they always take you to some of these places like Marie Laveau's house and Madame Leloir's, but I've never seen one stop here, and they should, because if any place is going to have any kind of bad energy, it's going to be this. At one point, a long time ago, this right here, this road is called Decatur now. It used to be called Old Levee Street. And right here at what would have been 122 Old Levee Street was what they called the Marine Hotel. And this place was absolutely bonkers with murders and all kinds of violence. This was a place going back to the 1840s, possibly even earlier, that the Sicilians who were coming in, this is where they would live. This is where all kinds of events happened. It's right here. Down the street is Cafe Du Monde. So when people come to New Orleans and they get that Joan of Arc statue right there, like, they don't know at all what was going on at 122 Old Levee Street. I'm now going to go over a couple articles out of many about this place that nobody else seems to know about. So, assault with intent to kill. A lady named Adelaide Bartoli, who lives with her husband in the Marine Hotel yesterday, preferred a charge of assault with intent to kill against Raphael Mancuso, who it appears is also a resident of the hotel. Circumstances under which the assault was committed, she alleges, were these. She was ascending the stairs in the hotel to go to her room about 9 o'clock Wednesday night when the accused met her and expressed the desire to have illicit intercourse with her. Being refused, he said that if she did not leave her husband and go with him, he would kill both her and her husband. Finding his threats unsuccessful, he then drew a razor from his pocket and made at her neck which cut her severely, and had it not been for the intervention of long earrings she wore, would have severed the carotid artery on each side of which a gash was made. A warrant was issued for the arrest of Mancuso. And a year later, this is happening. A man stabbed on Saturday night. A man named Salvatore Latoni was found in the yard of the Marine Hotel, stabbed at the back, breast, and arm in a very dangerous condition. The police authorities of the first municipality had the wounded man conveyed to the charity hospital. We could not understand how he came by his wounds, he being unable to make any statement when found. And I know what you're thinking, so what? This doesn't mean it's the Mafia. Well, as the story unfolds, you'll see some of these names and some of these people over and over again. And if you know anything about the Mafia, you know that it's not a coincidence that these people are out there mingling with other guys who do other similar things like counterfeiting, murder, extortion, and robberies. So as I walk around here through flooded New Orleans, okay. So the thing with the Mafia in New Orleans is this. It slowly grew over time. It's not one of these things where all of a sudden you've got a guy coming over and he's starting everything and everyone knows the deal. I mean, we're talking the mid-1800s here. So what we consider the Mafia doesn't exactly even really exist in Sicily. I mean, it does, but it's not the modern kind of corporate version that we think of. Okay, it's a lot of, family and honor, and it's really just kind of a reflection of the medieval society. Now, the Mafia loves to tell the legend of itself going back to this medieval days when they couldn't get justice for, what was happening to them, because there's all these different people coming in and invading, and this army and that army and the Sicilian Vespers and all of that. But really what the Mafia is about, it's about, power and control. And these, the mafiosi, they will take any opportunity that they can get to exert that power and control. So when these governing bodies extricate themselves or their power weakens, they just filled the vacuum. People came to them for help. Hey, maybe you'll come to me for some other stuff. So, in researching this, I have discovered all the telltale signs of the Mafia. So I'm currently working on a book. I'm not going to give away any more than that. But in the book, I am basically taking the principle of a RICO act on the Mafia. So, it's hard to say that this guy did this and did that, but if you can show associations and, bring out that web of associations, then that is when you're going to be able to really show what was going on at that time. The thing with history is that it's an art. It's not a science. Archaeology is a science. But history itself is an art form. When I graduated with one of my degrees, which was history, I got it from the College of Arts and Humanities at the University of Central Florida. Look at these cool old buildings. This is like the stuff you would have seen along Levee Street on both sides. So, and I love this kind of part of New Orleans. because you have this ancient, oh, I mean, it's not really that ancient, but you know, just if you think of it that way, right? You've got these old buildings with their old stuff, and then in the background is new. And in a lot of cities, you sort of get that, but I mean, New Orleans is probably one of the only cities I can think of that has like 17, 18, 1900s all within an eye shot of each other. You know, New York, I guess, has that section around the waterfront, but this area here, it seems like it's, you know, extra. It's really cool. But back to the history. So, history is a series of stories, and of course, people leave out the stories that they don't want told. So, to call it, you know, whatever, like to call it a factual thing would be incorrect, because it is not a factual situation, because you might not tell all of your story, and all we have in history is what's left of your stories. So, for example, the newspapers that I read, when so-and-so says this or that happens as a witness statement to the police, that's all we have to go on. But the witnesses aren't always reliable. They don't remember what they saw. No, they don't remember what they saw, and they might not say everything, especially in the case of, you know, like Zaccaro or some of these other guys that are in the mafia. They might just tell you some bare bones facts that may or may not be right or wrong, because they want to do some damage to somebody. So anyway, that's my exposition about history. Now, I'm an actual historian. I'm not a history buff. I'm not a history guy, right? I'm an actual person that spends their time trying to research new things about history to tell the story. No offense to people who are history buffs or history guys, but this is how I make my money. I spend my time not reading Wikipedia and other articles other people have put, but I spend my time like diving deep, doing things like researching, writing books, leading people on tours, doing those kinds of things, trying to tell the story, not just repeat the story. I think that's the difference between a historian and a history buff, is that historians will tell the story and the others will just repeat it. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I'm trying to figure out the best way to bring you guys historical documentaries and like travel documentary style stuff too. So just bear with me as I kind of piece this together. I'm just getting started out on it. But as you can see, I'm here in New Orleans, going to have a lot of good videos about jazz history and voodoo and Storyville and all of that stuff, as well as, of course, the Mafia and how it kind of began here and then spread out to all the other places. So next time, we're going to learn about the first possible Mafia boss, maybe? I don't know. It's up for debate. But we're going to learn about how and where he got killed and what happened and some of the repercussions of it. Very interesting stuff. So we'll have that coming out possibly in the next week or so as I get all that stuff edited. Thanks for bearing with me. As I said, I'm writing a book, so I'm holding back some of the information. There's a lot of really kind of mind-blowing stuff that I found. But I've been Charles, your historian, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.